The record to start. All right. So today we actually have a pretty big topic, and I don't know if it was a good idea to put it all in one, but I thought that everything was covering a similar topic. They were all kind of a similar theme, even though there's a lot of information, and so I put it all in one thing. So let's see how we do. I don't know if it was a good idea or not, but we'll see. And if not, we can always just do this same one next time too if we don't get through it all. So it's all right. Okay. So today we're going to be talking about section 4. I guess it's part 4 of section 1 of our book that we've been reading in Buddha's words, and it's called Without Discoverable Beginning. And so what this section is about samsara and the endless cycle of birth, life, death, and rebirth that we go through um, in the Buddhist tradition. And so that is what the without discoverable beginning is referring to. Just that our cyclical existence in samsara has no beginning. And so we'll learn a little bit more about that. And so to start, let's begin our conversation with just talking about samsara and what that is. So, samsara is the beginningless cycle of repeated birth, mundane existence, dying, and dying again. And so, essentially, it comes from, or the Sanskrit word samsara means flowing on or passing through. And so this word from Sanskrit that is what flowing on or passing through. So this kind of continuous flow that we're doing in a continuous cycle. Um, the state of being bound by greed, hate, and ignorance, or as a veil of illusion that hides true reality. So, samsara and why we get stuck on this wheel, this cyclical existence in samsara, is because of those. When we talked about these in our last meeting, but greed, hate, and ignorance. And those three things, or in this veil of illusion that hides true reality. And so, a lot of what we talk about in the Dhamma is about the true reality of things. And so this cycle of samsara does not end as long as we are bound by greed, hate, ignorance, or and have this veil of illusion from true reality. And okay, and so the next part is that we are trapped in samsara through one life after another until we find awakening through enlightenment. And so this cycle of samsara, it does have an end. It's without beginning, but it does have an end, and the end of this cycle is when we become awakened or enlightened. And will, of course, that is our goal as we speak about Buddhism, and that is our goal. That's what we aim to do, is to become enlightened and on the Mahayana path, also help others, bring others to enlightenment as well. All right. So that is sort of the beginning of our discussion, just kind of a basics of what samsara are, or what samsara is. And we are liberated from samsara through the four noble truths. So, if we kind of the foundation of Buddhist belief starts with the four noble truths, the fact that, and so when we look at these four noble truths, this is how we can begin to get ourselves out of samsara. Especially through the fourth noble truth, which is through the eightfold path. And so those are ways that we can get out of samsara. So that's kind of the beginning of our discussion, and kind of the where and what we're talking about here. Now, this section talks about without discoverable beginning, and we'll get into the five similes that describe that. But what do we mean? And just a little bit more of information about without discoverable beginning. Okay. So, without discoverable, so many times, samsara is often referred to as the wheel of existence, and we know from a wheel, which I think I have a quote on here later, but we know a wheel doesn't have a beginning or an end. So that's why oftentimes we refer to samsara as this wheel of existence. And now, just to talk a little bit more about Buddhist cosmology, but the wheel of existence that we have in samsara contains six realms. There's the realms of hell, hungry ghosts, animals, humans, demigods, and gods. And so when we think about this wheel, and this is a depiction of a Tibetan a Tibetan picture of a wheel of samsara, but it's a little bit hard to tell on this picture, but it has six different sections here, and so this wheel of samsara that we cycle through in this continual life and death and cycle of life and death, we cycle through these six different realms of life. And so right now we are all here in the human realm. That's the realm of existence that we've been born into through this cycle. And we through our acts can be born into either the same realm or different realms depending on our own karma that builds that we collect and accumulate. And so the samsara concept in Buddhism envisions that these six realms are interconnected, and everyone cycles life after life through these realms because of a combination of ignorance, desires, and purposeful karma, or ethical and unethical actions. And so, just as I started to kind of explain, we go through these six realms depending on our karma and the wholesome and unwholesome karma that we create. And and this is the part where I'll ask Luke to speak a little bit more on too, because this is a part where I still am trying to get a grasp of. But our karma that we create a lot of times, especially from a Western perspective, because even if you're not Buddhist, most in the Western world, most people know things like what goes around comes around, or you reap what you sow. So there's all of these there's all of these things, popular phrases and idioms and things that people say that are talking about karma, that what you put out is what you get back. But many times when we think about this concept, we think about it as a direct one to one relationship, that I do one bad thing, so one bad thing is going to come back to me, or I do one good thing and one good thing is going to come back to me. But karma doesn't exactly work that way, and it also is not dependent on just this lifetime. Our karma follows us as we cycle through samsara. Our karma follows us through these different lifetimes and can have an impact on this lifetime and future lifetimes. And Luke, if you don't mind, kind of expanding on this just a little bit more.
Yeah, I think we can take it slowly because it's a very hard concept, and I think most people would say, "Oh, so let me ask you a question: Is the noise of my fan very bad?" Okay, good, good, good. Then I will keep talking. Oh, it's so hot. Uh, and so it's you cannot prove that we have samsara because there's no scientific equipment. But you cannot prove otherwise either. So this I just suggest that we have you know we we are open minded. Um, if we believe in samsara, there are certain things that easier to explain. Um, like for example, some prodigies, when they were born, they already can compose like Mozart or Einstein. It's because they probably have learned these songs or have already or masters many things, and then they also brought their knowledge to the new life. So it's easier to explain why we have prodigies. And second, it also help to explain. Yeah, in Mandarin we say 语言 is like special connections. So sometimes when you meet someone, you have like a special feeling, and you feel you have some kind of connection. But some people, you just don't like them, and you hate them for no reason. And this can be explained that in this way, that they probably already had some fighting or arguments in their previous lives. And many people do not believe in cause and effect, because so many nice people, they die in violent deaths, and like evil doers, they enjoy wealth, fame, power. So people say, you see, there's no karma. And so, but in Buddhism, we say when you create an wholesome action, it's like a seed, and you don't know when the seed will bud and grow, and then become a tree and have the fruits. It takes a long time, and there are so many factors that you have to consider. So sometimes it's so hard to see causal effects in one life. But because there are enlightened people who can see like what went on, what happened in many lives, and it's easier for them to explain why things happen this way. So, before you get enlightened, you cannot have direct experiences of the idea of samsara. So I think we can, for example, my attitude is there are so many Buddha's teachings that I found very useful and make sense. So I'm willing to have some faith in the Buddha's words. And sometimes you will hear some reports like, wow, it's a miracle. How come this boy could remember like the names of people in another remote town? And so there are anecdotes like that. And I would say you have to like just in phenomenology we say put it in and put it under brackets. I forget the philosophical term. So just don't have to prove it's true or false yet. Just wait and see, and try to make sense the Buddha's words little by little. And also, I would like to add to the sixth realm thing, because in fact there are 3 spheres of existence. So the 6 realms Quentin just talked about belong to the realm of desire. Okay, so they are the lowest. And then if you practice meditation, if you can reach first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana, you will be reborn in the realm or in the sphere of very fine materials or form. And if you practice even higher form of meditation, then you'll be reborn in the sphere of formlessness. So what are three characteristics? A sphere of desire. You have to eat, and you have to you have sexual desire, and you have to sleep. So these are the three kinds of desire that people living in the realm of desire have in common. And if you want to have a higher form of existence, you just have to work on them and try to do more meditation. And then in the future, you'll be reborn in a higher existence. So people who are distracted all the time, in Buddhism, the category is like 五趣杂居地. So they are on the bottom. And people have better meditation skills, have more higher level of concentration. They are level 2, level 3, level 4, so 9. So this is another way for us to categorize living beings. And so, for example, now we are human beings, but if you don't keep your desire in check, and some, many people are promiscuous. They, just let their sexual desire gratified whenever they want. And the karma, this kind of karma you make will lead you to animal kingdom because animals don't have shame and they do not try to keep their desire in check. And if you murder someone, if you are an angry person and you hurt people all the time, tortures, kill living beings, not necessarily human beings, maybe other animals or even insects. If you create karma of killing, your next destination will probably in hell because you inflict pain, suffering on other living beings. And then as a result, as a consequence, you will have to go through that kind of pain yourself. And in Mahayana Buddhism, it doesn't necessarily mean next life. When you have an idea of killing, hatred, you are living in hell, right? And if you have compassion at that moment, you are living the experiences of a bodhisattva. A bodhisattva is a person aspired to become enlightened. So every day, if you are a distracted person and you do not try to be mindful and let your emotions do this, fluctuate. Sometimes you are angry, then you are living in hell. Sometimes you are so greedy, you will like become a hungry ghost, because hungry ghost realm is the realm when human beings or other forms of beings have too much greed. They cannot satisfy. So they keep pursuing, and never be content. So they will be reborn in the realm of hungry ghosts. And if you have a lot of sexual desire, animal kingdom. And so in this life, right in this life, we may experience, these six realms. Sometimes we are angry, we want to kill someone, we want to hurt someone, we want to torture animals, want to kill some insects, or we don't care, the ants. Some people just light fire and just burn all the ants. And it's an act of brutality. And even though they are so tiny, they want to live. So we just have to be mindful and not let our experiences like go through sometimes bodhisattva and sometimes hell. So greedy, I want more, and hungry ghosts. And heaven, like the heavenly being, they do good deeds, but they do not have concentration yet. So the heavenly beings in the sphere of desire, they do not have concentration. They just do a lot of good deeds, like take care of living beings and generosity, and like live a virtuous life without sexual misconduct, do not engage in false speech, and also yeah, they just try to help as many people as possible. So they are born in also there are many different levels of heavenly spheres or realm or planes. There are so many synonyms, and so sometimes it may be very confusing. So anyway, if you do not believe in samsara, at least we can try to explain our life, our daily life. We go through now these different realms. So Quentin, if you can like have a conversation with me, I would like to, you can ask me questions and maybe I can clarify. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like because I think that this is something that you've said before, and it's a good reminder too, just that our daily lives can have this same cycle. I think a lot of times when we read this or we see it in Dhamma that we think like after death and being reborn into these different places, but these are states of mind that we can also go through. Um, the one thing that I often struggle with on this topic, particularly, is that it like as you said, it does help explain some of these things of like why bad things happen to good people, or good things seem to happen to bad people. But then it also can be very demotivating, I think, to people to want to do one or the other, because for me sometimes I can think about this and think about, well, gosh, like these past lives that I may have had or actions that I may have done in the past that I'm not even aware of anymore in my current being are having these negative impacts on me. And I know that, the answer to that is to create positive impacts so that hopefully next time it'll be better. But how, I guess, is this something that is a normal struggle? And if so, I guess, how do people sort of reconcile this in their
And
minds?
yeah, so after I give my opinions, I will have Lucian to the next one to give his opinions. Um, so I mentioned three spheres of existence, right? We are on the bottom, like the sphere of desire. We have so much desire, and then people with concentration, the sphere of fine materials or form, yeah, and then higher, the sphere of formlessness, and but these three realms are still within the domain of samsara. Why? Because beings in these upper two realms, if they don't have wisdom, they still have that attachment to the pleasant feeling of being so focused, and they enjoy meditation, and that's also another form of greed. And also, if they do not have wisdom to eradicate their ignorance, and because ignorance prevents them from seeing the reality, like you say. So even though they can have a very happy life, still, like I say, it's like shooting an arrow. And once the karmic force is over, it will just fall down and it will go through the three spheres of existence again. So what Buddha is hoping us to do is that meditation is just the foundation for wisdom. But if we are always distracted, it's impossible for us to have wisdom. So the Buddha say you have to practice meditation to get some level of concentration. Then the more important thing is you have to study all kinds of positive ideas to get rid of your negative ideas. And once you can get rid of the negative ideas, then you are liberated. You go beyond these three spheres of existence, and you don't have suffering. Suffering will be ended by then. So no matter how you like it or not, if you do not strive to for the goal of enlightenment, no matter how wealthy, how smart you are, once the karmic force is over, then because there are too many seeds we planted in the past, so next time we have no idea what kind of seed will start to grow. And sometimes it's a good seed, sometimes it's a bad seed. So it's hard to predict. The best way is just to develop our wisdom. And if you can get rid of your taints or defilements, it depends on different translators. Sometimes they say defilements in our mind or taints. Then you will just make it impossible for the old seeds to grow, because we usually use the analogy seeds is like your karmic action before, and you need water, right? You need water for the seed to grow, and taints or your desire, your negative thoughts are like water. You water these seeds. So if you can stop this from functioning, the seeds will, dry and won't be able to grow. Yeah, that's how people attain enlightenment or get arahantship, means no more next life. And in Mahayana, you become the bodhisattva who has go beyond suffering and have the ability to help other living beings. And Lucian, please give us your opinions.
Okay. The cosmology of Buddhism is very huge. It's very, very large, and the time is very long. Just like the heaven being, in Chinese we say sky man. They are 28 level of sky man. They live very long. Even some of them, they are in very high level. Even the earth or our sun are destroyed, they still live there. So the cosmology of Buddhism is very big and very long. And of course, in this discourse, it's very hard to prove, like for me or for someone, because I think we are students, we are not teacher yet. So of course, in this conception, there are something we need to maybe believe, something like that, believe. But of course, there are many courses of Buddha can help us our normal life. Yeah, it's true. Just we can see many good teaching help our normal life. It's no problem. But in ancient China, we say the sky is round, and the earth is 方怎么讲？天圆地方。
Like flat.
Flat. The
Flat.
earth is flat, and it's like a 四方形 carol 吗？
Square 是正方形
Square
您呢？四方形。
Like a rectangle.
So, but now we know the ancient Chinese. It's not true. The sky or the earth is not the way they understand. And before we think our earth is our earth doesn't move, but now we know the earth is like a ball in the space. So maybe even 30 years ago, we are not sure if there is black hole, but now because we have something in the space, so in recent years, we can take a photo of the black hole. So there are many things we don't know. It's true. So in this situation, maybe we still can say I see it exactly, yeah, by myself. But there are many discourse very good, just like Four Noble Truths. Maybe later in the future we can learn them. So the cosmology to me is still very logical than other religions, and because it's very large and the time is very long, so I think it's more similar to the science know today. Yeah, that's my opinion.
Thank you, Lucian and Luke for that, and for helping us kind of try to get a little bit of a better grasp on this because it is a very big topic. And so I think a lot of that, and there's more that we could speak about on this topic for sure. But this one, and what we're talking about today, and what this section or part 4 of section 1 is speaking about is just when we're thinking of the samsara and kind of where did it begin, is the fact that it doesn't have a discoverable beginning. So just as a wheel, there is no beginning, nor does there is no beginning to the wheel. And we're just going, and the wheel just keeps going. There's not a beginning or an end until we can get off the wheel through our actions and
By the way, can I add to your
Yeah.
question that you say sometimes you feel, wow, this is a long road, and how can I get over this? But I think if you become optimistic and you feel yourself so lucky because now you have a direction, and we usually say desire is the root of our suffering, or love is the root of suffering. I mean, by love, I mean love with attachment. or desire. And so now we know that our future happiness does not lie in gratifying our desire. And we have a good direction. And even though it's a long journey, every day, if I am content with what I have, and that's just to reduce my greed, reduce my desire, then I feel more at ease and a little bit, right? Every day, a little bit. But even if you are a billionaire and you want to have more money, you want to expand your business, then every day you still feel you like need more, you need more, and you never feel satisfied. And then by the time you become one of the wealthiest people in the world, you want political power and then you run for office. So it's just like a rat race until you keep doing this. But a lot of people do not feel happy that way. So I think I'm so lucky. It's not get more to make you happy, it's reduce your desire to make you happy. And it's easier to achieve happiness by reducing our desire, by looking inside. Then keep pursuing more, because it's a never-ending process. Like you say, it's insatiable. So yeah, we should feel very lucky, and we have a very good goal in life. And if we can like improve our concentration and try to study more positive ideas, we know we are creating wholesome karma, and you know you are going to a better place. And if you vow to achieve enlightenment, you will always be reborn in a place where you can find your companions to keep practicing this. And if you kill each other in the next life, you will still kill each other. Like so many things going on in the world. Why? Because they don't want to forgive others. They want to take revenge. So, they are just in this endless cycle of killing each other. But if we practice meditation, if we study wisdom, we will be reborn in a place where we will still have friends who are like us, like we are doing right now. We are like birds of a feather flock together. We are so similar in that we want to become a better person. So yeah, I think this make us feel, wow, our future looks so bright, because now we are walking on a positive path leading us to happiness, not the other way around. Because I know that everybody probably was so greedy and never feel their life is full of happiness or hope. They just keep pursuing, and it's the process itself is suffering.
Thank you, Luke. I think too for today, what I was thinking is maybe today we could cover the first two similes, because of the five, when I read through them, I felt like they kind of broke down into the first two were very similar, second two very similar, and then the fifth is similar to the second two, or the third, or I'm sorry, the third and fourth, but explains a little bit more. So maybe today we'll look into the first two similes, and then there's some interesting current events that I really wanted to get others' opinions on, especially from a Buddhist perspective. And so I definitely want to save a little bit of time for the current events too. And I think we've talked about a little bit of the discussion questions already through our discussion. So I'll go over the first two similes, and then we can pause if anyone has any questions or wants to talk about those, and then we'll move into the current events. All right. So the Buddha gives 5 different similes when we are talking about not having a discoverable beginning. And the first 2, the first was the simile of grass and sticks, which I'm going to read it, part of the simile. I'm going to read for everyone, because I think that it gives context. And the second one, I won't read as much of the second one because it's very similar. But the simile, and I can actually share my window so you all can read along. Um, I should be able to do that. Okay. And so without discoverable beginning, grass and sticks. So the blessed ones said this: monks, this samsara is without discoverable beginning. At first point is not discerned of beings roaming and wandering on, hindered by ignorance and fettered by craving. Suppose, monks, a man would cut up whatever grass, sticks, branches, and foliage there are in this Jambudipa, and collect them together into a single heap. Having done so, he would put them down, saying for each one, "This is my mother, this is my mother's mother." The sequence of that man's mothers and grandmothers would not come to an end, yet the grass, sticks, branches, and foliage in this Jambudipa would be used up and exhausted. For what reason? Because, monks, this samsara is without discoverable beginning. All right. And so this is just the first simile to basically say that if you took all of the grass, sticks, branches in this area, even in the whole earth, and you laid them all down, saying this one represents my mom, this one represents my mother's mother, you would never come to an end. It would you would use up all of the foliage of the world, and you would never reach the end of this chain. And so that was the first simile, just to kind of think about this undiscoverable beginning. And I think that just overall, the fact of both no beginning and eternity are both difficult concepts for humans to really grasp, because I think our world, our existence, our plane of existence is very much based on time, and this aspect of being timeless is very hard to grasp, I think, for most of us. But that's the first simile. And the second simile is very similar to the first, but instead, with this simile, the Buddha uses balls of clay instead of grass, sticks, and foliage. So in this simile, the Buddha, just to summarize, essentially says that if you were to take the earth, all of the earth, and to make it into small balls of clay, and each ball of clay represented your father and your father's father, that again, this sequence would go on, and the entire earth would be used up before you reach the end of this chain. You wouldn't have enough earth to get to the end of this. And so that again is another simile, just to kind of explain this concept of not really having a beginning, or undiscoverable beginning that we can't quite get to. Um, and so the next 2 similes go more into eons, and just a description of what eons are. But the reason that they're talking about eons is for the same reason that we talk about samsara lasting for eons upon eons, and how long is an eon. And the Buddha goes on to give some similes about how long an eon is. And so those are the next 2. But let me just move from there. Well, I think, Luke, what do you think? Should we continue on,
Yeah, I
or
think we can stop here, but I think I want to point to a very interesting fact, that the reason why I listen to the Buddha's words, that we should see women older than us as our mother, um, or younger than us, our daughter, and about our age, our sister, because the Buddha say in the past, yeah, you were family members or friends. That's why we still appear together. So, that's why we do not want to hurt other living beings. Why? Because, like you say, human or beings, they go through different forms of existence. So maybe your mother may be reborn as a chicken. If you kill the chicken and eat its meat, then you are like eating your mother's meat. And maybe your brother may be reborn as a fish. If you eat the fish, you probably eat your brother in your previous life's meat. So that's why we do not want to hurt any living beings, because you don't know in which life they might be your family members or your friends. And it makes sense to me to see why some people, like, you can feel very close to, and why you don't. And that's because they probably were family members before, and they had a very good relationship. And this life, when they see each other again, they have these familiar feelings. But if you had a very bad relationship, then you kind of like dislike this person. And we should try to work on this, because you don't want this bad relationship to last till the next life or future lives, right? So even if we don't like it, but we still have to practice loving kindness towards people we don't like. That's how we can end this bad relationship right here, right now. And also we have to become a vegan, because it's for, it's like protecting your family members in the past. You may eat your own family member without knowing it. And how can you make sure you don't make a mistake like that? You go vegan. Yeah, you do not try to exploit animals or eat their meats. That's why I told many people this is my life mission, to promote veganism. And all right, so we save some time for current events.
Yeah, yeah.
David, if you want to add any comment, please. Yeah, you're welcome.
Not really. Yes. But I will try next time. Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. If does anyone else have anything to add, just about what we've talked about so far today, and then we'll look at some of the current events. Okay. Well, this week, I've selected 3 current events, and one, eh, unfortunately, is kind of business as usual, but, the other 2 I found very interesting, and different. And so the first that I have here, is about Russia mulls Lithuania's illegal independence from Moscow. And so this one, I think, and we've had discussions about this and just sort of about what fuels this type of behavior. But again, and from the article, if you have a chance to read the full article, essentially a quick summary. One of the one of the officials that are in the Russian parliament, they've submitted this bill, or this, they've submitted something to the government to basically to invalidate Lithuania's independence, because they didn't do it through the proper channels, I guess, to leave the USSR, back when the USSR broke apart. And so it's just, they don't think, I don't think that they don't think that this will go very far. But again, it's just another sort of propaganda, kind of pushing out this this Russia kind of grab for more land, grab for more property, getting back land that was lost when the USSR broke apart. And so, I think we've talked a little bit about this in prior weeks. So that's kind of the business as usual one. The other two I found very interesting, and I would love to get comments about. The second one here, Belgian king expresses deepest regrets for abuses in DR Congo, so the Democratic Republic of Congo. For those who just a quick context, for those who may not know, Belgium colonized the Congo, and while they were there, treated the Congolese people very brutally. The rubber trees and the rubber production that happens in the Congo. They set up these quota systems where if the people didn't harvest enough rubber, that they would have to cut off limbs, cut off hands, in order to kind of pay for, essentially, well, you didn't bring the rubber that we wanted, so now you have to bring us your hand instead, sort of thing. And so they estimate that 10 million Congolese people died under Belgium occupation. And while Belgium has never formally apologized, the Belgium king now has expressed deepest regrets for the abuses incurred on the Congolese people while they were under Belgium rule. And so this one I thought was interesting and from a Buddhist perspective because we speak about, and today we've even been speaking about our karma. And, each person, each individual is the owner of their own karma. Um, but in these types of situations, because there are ideas on both sides of this. There are some of the Congolese people reading this article that are like, I think this is good that Belgium is at least admitting the atrocities that happened. Let's look toward the future. Let's look toward what we can do, to form better relations and to have a more prosperous future. Whereas there are also people who are like, look, just saying that, oh, this was horrible, what happened in the past is not enough. Like, look what you did. You've taken resources, you've taken cultural artifacts, you've maimed and ruined lives of so many people. We deserve payment. Like, you need to pay us back for all of these atrocities. And so I think this is something, and again, I think this is even relevant because we're kind of going through a similar thing in the United States right now with the past actions of slavery and what that means, and who is there any context to that in today's society, and how much of today's society was affected by what happened in the past. And so, if we're the bearers of our own karma, do we have responsibility to create or to create wholesome karma around the actions of what other people did? Because this king was not in power. I don't think, but I don't think this king was in power when Belgium was a colony, or when the Congo was a colony of Belgium. So he did not do these things. He did not enact these policies, and he did not commit the killing. But nor did a lot of the people currently living in Belgium. And so, what responsibility do they have to kind of make amends to the Congolese people? And I think that's an interesting thing to think about from a Buddhist perspective. So I just wanted to get anyone's thoughts on that.
I think if for Bodhisattva, Bodhisattva, he wants to create a pure land. Even this earth, he still want to make this earth more peaceful, more he wants this earth more beautiful, more clean, and people live here are happy, and no one hurt each other. So if for Bodhisattva, he think it's his responsibility to make good karma, and teach other people to do good karma too. So if by this way we can have a pure land, because we all live in the same world. If other people kill, if people kill each other, we are also in danger if we walk in the street. So I think for Mahayana Buddhism, the Bodhisattva, he has the responsibility to help the world, help the others. Yeah, so in this way, I think the king, like Bill John King, he should say sorry. Yeah, that's my opinion.
There's always money involved, because if you apologize, you have to have reparations. You have to pay people a lot of money, and yeah, we should call out these colonizers, these Western countries. There are so many European countries, and they do not apologize, including Japan. They try to erase history, and it's not happening in Japan only. It happens in many Western countries. France. So Jenny asked me to listen to a podcast, the daily podcast, and it talked about the history of Haiti in slavery, independence history, and France also like enslaved people in Haiti, and after they gain their independence, they require them to pay a lot of money in cash to France, and make it almost impossible for Haiti to prosper as a society. And now the New York Times discovered this, but France remained silent. They didn't want to admit that they make people in Haiti suffer. So it's our responsibility to call out these hypocrites in a non-violent way. We need to raise awareness of what happened in the past, the injustice. We need to keep talking about this in a non-violent way. And so the same thing, like what Republican Party is doing is just to kill CRT and to try to ban a lot of books in so many conservative states. So librarians sometimes get death threats. And I think the Belgian king, how can he have the courage to visit this place if he doesn't have a plan to apologize? So, sometimes I think, yeah, look towards the future, good thing. But in order to prevent a tragedy like this from happening in the future, we need to educate the next generation. It's there. And I think last year, Germany, they admit they committed genocide, and then they pay billions of euros. But that's a good example. So they have the courage to face their own past. Japan does not have. France, coward. They are hypocrites. The UK, hypocrite. The US also. So we don't have to pretend it's not there, and we just let it become. If you have this attitude, bad things will keep happening because they don't have any consequences. We have compassion for them. In order to prevent them from having these evil thoughts, we should just keep, cause trouble for them. Like, what a big headache. We had to make amends. We don't want to lose money. If we apologize, then we should have to like have a budget for reparation money. And so, but we have to do it in a non-violent way. We can keep writing in, we can, like the New York Times call out French government, like, you say liberty, you say equality, fraternity, it's all lies, it's all lies. And don't blame other people for your own mistakes, and don't criticize other countries, like third world country. And so, I mean, non-violence is the principle I stick to. But you just have to have more people write about the past.
Yeah.
Raise awareness. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Any other opinions about this one? I definitely agree with Luke, and I think that especially since a lot of us here are teachers, I think education is such an important part of this, as Luke just mentioned, because even in this article about the Belgian king, they mentioned that in Belgium, this colonial period is not even really taught that much in school. They kind of just breeze over it because it's like, well, they know it's a horrible stain on their history, so we just won't talk about that. We'll just not let's just not mention those things. And so that's definitely not the way that we should go about it, for sure. Um and as is often mentioned, and I'm not a huge reader. I'm getting better at reading more books, but a lot of people say anytime a book hits the banned list and it's banned, that's probably the book you should read because there's a reason why it's being banned. So I would say any book that is banned, go out and read it, please, because you probably should. There's something in there that it might be a good key. Anywho, the last one here is about scientists make slightly sweaty robot finger with living skin. And so this one was meant to be a little bit of a lighter topic for our discussion, but I do have a Buddhist view type of question for this. So essentially, summary of the article: Japanese scientists have created this sort of artificial skin that is very much like real skin, and it kind of has a little bit of a slightly sweaty feel. And it basically it's a skin that could be put on robots to make them more human like, and to just to make them less robotic and to make us be able to have a better relationship with robots. Now there are some problems with the skin. It's not as durable, and because it doesn't have blood supply and sweat glands, it doesn't stay moist. You have to like keep it moist. Keep it moist. Sorry, keep it moist somehow. But excuse me. But anywho, the reason I really wanted to talk about this article was because as we go into the future, and especially when we think about robotics and where those will eventually go, at what point do robots cross into the sentient being realm of life? Because we as Buddhists, that we believe in the not harming sentient beings and living beings. And this kind of thinking about these futuristic movies like I, Robot, or Ex Machina, these movies about these robots that really are kind of like they think, they basically live. They don't want to be destroyed or dismantled. But is this something where that we will eventually have to address in Buddhism as the future continues to move forward? Yep, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, I have a question. Well, my question is, it says with living skin. Does that refer to like like animal skin or like It's just all like artificial skin that's not from animals. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I from what I gathered from the article, it is artificial, like made in the lab. It's not actual like human skin or animal skin, but it's like it lives as in like it if you keep it moist, it it's like skin, I guess. Um, but it just got me thinking about robots in general, and as they become more advanced, is there a point where they yeah, oh, does it heal? You know, it does. Actually, I think in the article it says that the skin does heal, but that it's not as durable as real skin. So it breaks or tears much easier than real skin, but it does have the capacity to heal. And so this is what got me thinking. Does, when do we have to start thinking about robots as in not harming them as part of our with karmic consequences.
Okay, I have an idea. Okay, for me, I think like robots, like they don't really belong to like any kind of reincarnation, like the six things, because they don't have like emotions or attachment. Like like attachment is the driven force, like the force that drives us into the reincarnation. So what I think is, if like robot actually um like dominate the world in the future, then who is gonna take responsibility for this? Is like the person who makes the robots, because they make the robots, they have the greed, the ambition to like make such a like dangerous robot,
Mhm.
Yeah, so I don't know if it will happen or not, but I think, yeah, like for the like aspect of responsibility, I think like that belongs to the person, the inventor, I guess. Yes.
So the robot itself, oh, and Amanda, and so the robot itself doesn't create or have kind of its own karma because it is essentially controlled by whoever made it. Okay, but now do we have a consequence though of hurting this living, non-living thing? But Amanda, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, to go off of David's comment about how a robot, like even a very advanced one, wouldn't enter like the life cycle and the karmic cycle. Is because we were just talking about how there's no beginning or end to it, but when you make a robot, there is a clear beginning. You can find the beginning of its life. So would that then fit into our discussion? Like, is there a divide because we can't find it? That we could easily find the robot's, for lack of a better term, parent, but
Mhm.
we can't find our ultimate. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just that hit me when David brought that up, and that's all I really had to contribute.
Yeah. I agree, that's a very good point. That yeah.
Yeah. The consciousness. Yeah. The key word is consciousness. Robots don't have consciousness. So inventors will have to take responsibility for what their device do. And the threat is very, very real. Now we are in an arm race, inventing all kinds of drones, AI, weapons. That's very scary. They can find their own targets. They can try to find the most valuable weapons to destroy, right? And sometimes I think the next generation robot will be like killers, killing machines. And so, I mean, if the military industrial complex does not want to have conscience to to think about the consequences of their own action. Yeah, these people will be reborn in hell. That's for sure. And because they are making weapons that people can use to kill, to destroy other beings. So they make a lot of money. I don't envy them at all. I have a lot of sympathy for them, for people working for military industrial complex, because they are in direct cause of so many people's deaths and suffering. So when we try to choose a career, we have to think about the impact your career may have on people on Earth or on the planet itself. And there are not many careers or occupations that you can choose without having a lot of negative impact on the Earth. But people don't care. They only care about money. So if I can make a lot of money, I can buy a good house, a fancy car, enjoy sensual pleasures. I don't care about the future. I don't care about that. A lot of people in other parts of the world are suffering because of your inventions, because of what you say high-tech products. And in fact, it's just a nicer way to say they are exporting killing machines to kill people's lives. So it's a shame that most people don't talk about this.
Oh, and I want to add something. So I think Quentin mentioned the consequences of us hurting those robots. So I think that it is the greed, desire, and anger that really lead to the bad consequences of our action. And even if the robots are not real living things, when we hurt them, we still get the bad consequences from our action, because when we are doing that, when we are hurting, we have greed, we have desire, we have the bad things in our mind. So I think there will still be bad consequences for that.
Yeah, but if you kill a real person, then yeah, the degree is different, but the same thing. Yeah, but if you kill a real human being, then you create even worse karma. But when you lose your temper and like just try to, what should I say, destroy a piece of furniture, you are create terrible karma because of your anger, your hatred. So we should be very careful, and try to treat every either living things or non-living things with respect to protect your mind from creating very bad karma. Yeah.
Such great points brought up about this one. I love it. Lucien, did you have anything to add to this one? Okay. I love and I thank you for your comment too, Jenny, because it made me think of something that we talked about several meetings ago. But there was an article about the whales. I think they were whales, or maybe they were a type of shark. But there was a natural phenomenon that was catching these whales, and they were getting stuck and dying, and they were trying to find a way to save the whales or to stop this from happening, even though it was a natural occurrence. It wasn't something, but it was, they still were trying to prevent it. And I think I asked then, well, what happens when these animals then cause other problems, because this is a naturally occurring thing. And so if we offset that cycle by by having more of this animal alive, it might cause damage to other ecosystems, or other animals might die. And I believe then we talked about the intention of the action, and the fact that when we are trying to save those animals, it's with the intention of creating, of helping, and being good to a life. It's not with the intention of harming or being destructive to anything. And I think that that very much relates to what Jenny is saying here, that when we hurt the robot, even though it's not a living thing, it's the greed and the ignorance and that the anger, that the intention behind those actions which creates the karma, not maybe specifically the action there. Or at least that's part of it. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm thinking if like the robots like are killing like all the human, and then if our intention for killing robots are like to save other humans, the consequences will be different. Like we will get wholesome karma like this.
Yes,
No.
yes.
All right.
Yeah, depends on your motivation. Yeah.
Wait, like what Quentin said, like like the whales, like if you save the whales, and like it's a good intention, and then the whales go eat other like fishes stuff, and then so the whales are making like killing others. So are we making like wholesome karma or unwholesome karma? Like we save the whales, but the whales are killing like other fishes. Like will we be like killing other fishes if we save the whales? That's my question.
I would say each animal is responsible for their own karma. And if we save a kitten, and you have to think about, wow, what if the kitten hurt a mouse? And then, and if we save a human being, and this human being eat pork, then we don't want to save any person. So we only have to care about right now. We save this human being or a living creature. And then this living creature will have to be responsible for their own action. But the Buddha say this is so complicated. Only enlightened being is able to understand the details. We can just guess, but we have a clear direction, but we don't know the details. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. I think for today, that will be the close of our meeting for this month. I think for next meeting, we'll return to this topic and talk a little bit more about it and go into the other 3 similes that were discussed. Especially, I think the 5th one is very important. Out of these 5, I think it gives a little bit of direction to just about our actions and such. So we'll talk about the other 3 next time we see each other.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Good to see
Bye,
everyone.
everyone.
See you.
Bye.
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 Thank you.